Well, joined now by our baseball insider, Steve Phillips. Steve, this is a short series between teams separated by just a couple of games in the standings this season. What jumps out to you as being the potential difference here in this wild card series?
Well, they really are closely matched teams. I mean, the Twins have scored like 20 more runs than the Jays have, and so they're really close to each other, and they score in similar ways. Now, a lot of power production from the Minnesota Twins. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. That's their big thing. The second half of the season, the second most runs scored in the American League. But when you get home runs, it also means you get a lot of swing and miss, and that's really the big nemesis for the Twins offense. They've led the American League in strikeouts this year. Kevin Gausman, 237 strikeouts pitching this year, and the big power arms of the bullpen. A big difference this year from last year when they didn't have swing and miss stuff in the bullpen. They have it now with Jordan Hicks and Eric Swanson and Jordan Romano, and those guys that have the kind of stuff to get big-time hitters with big swings to miss those pitches at critical moments. What you want to do with runners in scoring position is get a strikeout. You don't want productive outs. You want to get a swing and miss to end the inning, and that's what this Twins offense is vulnerable for, a big factor there. Plus, the Blue Jays left-handed hitters are going to be critical in this series. Right-hander Pablo Lopez on the mound, Sonny Gray. Look for Brandon Belt, Dalton Varsho, and Kevin Biggio, who are swinging the bat well, to be key figures in that Blue Jays offense.
Every pitch becomes so crucial in the playoffs. We remember the Jays started at home last year and had an epic collapse in that wild card round against Seattle. Do you see a silver lining, Steve, in this team now starting on the road this time around?
You know, I think the mental part of the game is so underrated. I mean, for instance, the Minnesota Twins have lost 18 straight playoff games. That has to be on their mind. And for the Jays to go back to Toronto to kick it off again, it would bring back a lot of those memories about where they were. Now they can think about the fact that this year they went to Target Field in Minnesota, took 2 out of 3 there. They're not having to worry about being at home. No, they're going to go home and have to play again, but they could get some success under their belt in Minnesota to turn it around. So I do think for the mental part of the game, starting on the road right now isn't the worst thing for the Blue Jays.
Jays need to exercise those demons from last year against Seattle. All right, Steve, prediction time. Who wins this wild card series and why?
Yeah, I think they're going to be good games, but I think the Blue Jays win 2 games. They don't even have to go to the third game. They win it 2-0 in this series. I think the pitching with Gausman, whoever's in game 2, it allows them to protect the game 3 starter to start the division series, and the big arms in the bullpen hold the lead. They get the job done and score their share of runs, and I think ultimately the Blue Jays win the series 2-0.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. He's our baseball insider, Steve Phillips. All right, according to FanDuel, the Twins are actually slight favorites to win this series. Meanwhile, the Jays looking for their first playoff win since 2016. They're plus 310 to pull off the sweep in this series, which is what Steve just told us he predicts could happen. Toronto was 46-35 on the road this season. And one thing Jays fans will point to, yes, the records were close here between Toronto and Minnesota, but Toronto clearly plays in a tougher division than Minnesota, so the schedule may be a little bit weaker for the Twins. New